All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to our March 10 Select Board meeting. And it is 7:02. We'll call the meeting to order. I'm not aware that there's anybody that needs to be remembered or celebrated, but if you know of anything differently, okay. All right. Okay. And we will open it up for public comment right now. If there's any public comment from Gert Walker or Walter or Bob Tribona?
No.
Okay. All right. No? Okay.
I think EMS is on the agenda later, so.
We are going to be, yes, we will be trying to determine that date.
And I see Jen Dobransky has some public comment, as
Oh.
does Susan and Terry.
Okay,
I
great.
just wanted to celebrate Tyler. Happy birthday.
I wasn't gonna embarrass him, but
Sorry.
we were being so.
Happy birthday, Tyler.
Thank you.
I tried to let it be
Hey.
low key, Tyler. All right, is that what Terry and Susan wanted to say too?
And Jess Weller.
And Jess Weller, okay, great. All right, see, you got a little fan club.
I'll pay you guys later.
All right, great. Are there any items to be added to the agenda?
Yes, so I want to just make a quick correction to the agenda first. The appointment of Scott Weller to fill the Board of Appeals a little bit later is actually going to be filling Julie Pankey's unexpired term,
Right,
expiring at town meeting 2029.
yep,
And then Julie Pankey would be an addition to fill Scott Weller's remaining term as an alternate on the Board of Appeals, expiring at the same town meeting of 2029.
okay, sounds good. All right, great. And with that, does anybody else have any other, do you have any agenda items?
No.
Oh, to add? Okay, great. So, and then we have a 7:15 with the Keskamekis. With Zoli and.
Yes,
Okay, and Sarah,
and Zoli did get the link today and is gonna
Okay.
join us closer to 7:15.
okay,
I would note for that hearing when we get there,
yes,
for a first-time liquor license hearing, there has to be a public hearing advertised in a major newspaper of circulation. After that first year, you don't have to advertise in the Press Herald, and I will say that in this case, we did not advertise in the Press Herald. That's a cost that we typically would pass on to the business owner. And I can say that in my 2.5 years, to almost 3 years of being here, the folks that have attended have come because of the email they've gotten, not because of what they've seen in the Times Record or the Press
Right.
Herald. So we saved them like $100.
right, yes. And this isn't their first time before for
No.
their license, okay, great, so we'll wait on that until they join us. And let's drop down to the minutes of February 10 and February 24. Is there a motion regarding February 10, please?
I move to approve the minutes from February 10th, 2026.
I second.
All in favor?
I have to abstain.
That's right.
All right,
okay.
so that is gonna be 2-0 with 1 abstention.
And then the minutes of February 24.
I move to approve the minutes of
And I
February
second.
24.
Okay, all in favor?
I can vote on that.
Perfect,
That's
and that
right.
is unanimous of all.
All right. And Tyler, if you would like to please take us through the correspondence, please?
Right, just for what it's worth with review, there were no items that's typically financials and hauling numbers. On correspondence, we received the Maine Revenue Services preliminary certified ratio declaration. For the board, just as a reminder, that's the metric that the state uses to determine where we fall within the threshold of where the market is for property values. Towns have the ability to go up 10% or down 10% on the certified ratio. So our projected ratio at this stage is 91. When we hit April 1 and we're officially at the point where we can do that form and have all the homestead exemptions numbers that we'll have for the upcoming year, we can tackle that, but we bump it up to 100%. That ratio is also tied into reimbursements that we get from the state on things like tree growth. So several years ago, when we dropped into the 70s, which helped precipitate the statistical reval, we also were losing, we don't get much for tree growth, but we were losing some of those state revenues. So we received that. Saginaw County sent along quite a few items. EMA's annual report, as well as an upcoming EMA meeting notice. I am working with the Deputy Director of EMA to attend on their Saginaw County hazard mitigation plan. For what that's worth, Saginaw County, when they joined us last time, notified us about their CERT program, so we
Right.
wanted to include that verbiage in this month's packet. The Sheriff's Department incident reports, we were down from
I
the
saw
last few
that.
months, which was nice. And I also wanted to include the Community Navigator we met with several months ago.
Right,
Has been working with some other area organizations about a community baby shower. There are limited numbers of slots, so any Georgetown residents that we're aware of will want encouraged to sign up before they're gone, but new families starting out or young families, they have a host of items that could be helpful. So that is really exciting. The annual meeting of AOS 98 is on March 17. Mary has completed the Maine Municipal Association's workers' compensation audit, so we received a notice of completion. And the Georgetown Community Center is requesting $10,000 this year.
okay, great. All right, then let's see, we still got a few, still have a few minutes of time. Kathy, would you like to go with your, we'll do it bottom to the end to the first, with your committee updates, please?
Yep, we had a Shellfish Conservation Committee on March 5th. They approved minutes from a previous meeting at which they voted to recommend increasing fees for recreational clam licensing.
Okay,
And Tyler has received that.
great,
There was a lot of discussion about the need for conservation closure, and they are recommending that the dump flats, everything from the bridge and Robin Hood North on the west wing, closed as soon as possible. And then the Conservation Committee met last night, approved a letter of support from the Conservation Committee to the Maine Coast Habitat Restoration for grant to research culvert size in 2 low-lying sections of Route 127 in
okay,
Arousik. There's going to be a water-wise program on septic care on April 6th at 7 PM. Do you want to know all of this, or we should probably put it in the?
yeah, we could,
Okay.
yeah, we can,
Earth Day community cleanup in town forest on May 2nd, and the school is going to join in, and other town organizations, I
Great.
think.
great, that's a nice collaborative effort.
Yeah, rec
Mhm.
committee, age friendly, cemetery trustees, and I'm not sure who else. Big night is coming up soon. Big night is when the amphibians wake up from hibernation and slither toward the vernal pools to party. kinda
Yes,
like our
exactly.
college kids.
Yes, yes,
And we don't know when it's going to be. It'll be some night when the temperature is above 40 and the road and it's wet.
yeah,
So,
certainly feels like mud season
yeah.
now, but.
and if
we'll see.
anybody's interested in participating in that, which is, it's really fun. It's something you can't do everywhere, but you can do here. Talk to Jessica Weller or anyone on the Conservation Commission.
Okay, great. And then you had cemetery trustee, oh, that's you,
That's me.
yeah,
I
oh, yeah, you
Don't know.
covered rec for me,
yeah, rec committee, they're planning, they've got a lot of things going
Yeah.
forward. Get to Know Your Neighbor is on Sunday, May 3rd, noon to 2. They're working on June Jam, which is something they do annually at the central school. The date is June 11th, June 12th is a rain date. It's gonna be after school.
and that's for the whole community,
Yeah.
so in the past, we've had many people in the dunk tank, including Zoli, if he's gonna show up, but maybe we should condition his license upon return to
Okay.
the dunk tank.
And they're working on Earth Day and Big Night.
We heard
as
that.
well.
We heard that.
Okay. All right,
Thank you.
anything else?
Yeah.
Okay,
Great,
great, go ahead,
Thank
Katie, I
you.
think we have a few more minutes.
okay, so. I left my laptop at home.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Since the last meeting, I have attended. Let's see. The planning board has met a couple of times. I was able to join for one. They finalized a few ordinances and sent those in, and we'll speak to those later. And there were more reviews of applications for building permits. Let's see. Planning board had a special meeting to finalize an ordinance, and I haven't seen the fire department, but I saw the cemetery committee met yesterday afternoon. And they worked on their budget and had a couple things on their agenda that was interesting, speaking to the different cemeteries in town and if they're full, if there's room for more, if we want to make exceptions to some of those rules. But yeah,
Okay,
that's it. And then I see fire department next
Next week,
Monday.
yeah.
Yeah.
okay. And then, the Board of Appeals has not met. We are gathering information and putting together, a plan to be addressed early summer on the personnel side of things, which we talked about at the last meeting. And probably most of my time this week was devoted to the Budget Advisory Committee for the county. And so I have multiple pages of notes we had a 6-hour meeting yesterday. But very interesting. It's not finished, of course. There's some things, for instance, there's still ongoing negotiations with the Deputy Sheriff's Union, excuse me. Their COLA is 3.3%, by the way, is what they did for their salaried employees. And lots of good information. The bottom line is that our assessment will go up by 10.16%. So right now, the number for us is 1592646. And it's still in draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what it is, 1592, 10.16. Mm-hmm. So I think we were thinking it might come in at about 11%.
Yeah, I put a placeholder of 14 and as
I thought yours
started,
was a little high, yeah. And that may
that's
be,
great.
that may be closer to where it is because we don't know about the negotiations, but
Right, right.
like everybody right now, health insurance for them is quite it's industry standard that is high right now.
Yeah.
They're looking at about 25% increase in their premium. So, there's really nothing we can do about this budget except for ask questions, which I did.
Absolutely.
I think most of the committee members were present yesterday along with the commissioners. I will continue to report out on that.
Thank you.
And,
And thank you for having Georgetown have a seat at that table, because
Sure.
it's been a long time since we've had someone in that seat being able to ask the question, so
Yeah.
it's important. Thank you.
yeah, it's great to learn their processes. They are expecting about 6,600. They budgeted 6,600 for revenue off the towers. So
Really?
that they haven't, that's what they budgeted.
Wow.
Jill Flaherty is their
Yeah,
she's been
Yeah.
their finance director and, she's now their administrator. She was their deputy. She's now been promoted to the administrator. So they've combined a couple of positions there, which will give them some savings. In most organizations, as you know, personnel is the highest price tag for a budget. And so that's certainly for them. But they, as we are seeing through our budget process, they are looking at a lot of funding of their reserve accounts for all kind of capital improvements and also just maintenance. And they have quite a bit more assets than we do. But very, good group of people. So I'll keep you posted on that. And
thank you very much for going.
of course. I think that's probably sufficient. Yeah,
I
go ahead.
attended a school budget meeting, if you
Oh,
want
yeah.
to talk about that.
Yeah,
It just very briefly,
the
they-
workshop. Is that,
Yeah,
was it the
yeah,
workshop?
yeah.
Okay.
their budget is still in flux because they are waiting for the AOS budget to be approved in an open referendum on March 17th. And anybody who's a registered voter in any one of their schools areas is welcome to come and vote on that. So we should probably hope that parents and concerned people from Georgetown will go over for that. They have some projected numbers for next year, but again, they don't know for sure
Sure.
how many students they're gonna have, and that will also affect that. They are projecting increases in health insurance and also in the tuition rate for the students that we send up to Bath and
Yeah.
also to private schools.
Okay.
And I think that's about it.
Okay. And later on, we'll be addressing that MOU with them too. So
Yeah.
we should be thinking about which person is going to be the lead with Elaine and Mary and whomever else on the MOU with the school. We'll get to that a little bit later. Okay.
And I think we're
I
at
think
the,
we're ready, yes,
and the Osprey is here.
okay.
They're ready for the dunk tank.
Yes, exactly. So at this point, I will open the public hearing for the liquor license for the Osprey. And we welcome Zoli and Sarah. Hi
Hello.
there.
How are you?
Great,
Sorry if
how
you
are you?
can't see us very well.
No problem. All right. Do we have any questions? Does anybody have any questions for them?
So I think if they wanted to just give us a little update on where they've been and then open up the floor to anybody who has thoughts on the liquor license.
Okay. So if you can just update us on the status, please?
Sure. We don't have a ton of plans to change the direction much from what we've been doing. Last year, we did offer more consistent options on the lawn, which included a trivia night on Mondays, which we really feel brought the community out, which was great. So we will continue to do those sort of things. Aside from that, we are continuing as we have been.
Okay, great. Thank you. Since this is a public hearing, anybody in the public is available to ask questions of Zoli and Sarah and their business related to this liquor license. Okay, seeing no questions, I'm going to close the public hearing
7:18.
and I'll entertain a motion as it relates to this liquor license.
I move that we approve the liquor license requested by owners of the Osprey.
Okay, we've been moved
I'll second.
and seconded. All those in favor?
And that is unanimous.
It is.
Thank you.
All right, thank you both.
Thank you
That's
so
great.
much.
Great.
Look
Thank
forward
you
to
so
seeing you.
much. Yeah, we'll see you all soon.
Okay, take care.
And I would note that historically on liquor licenses, there was a spot where the board would actually sign off after they've approved. The Bureau of Alcohol, Liquor and Gambling, don't know, BABLO is their acronym. They've changed their inner processes where now the town clerk will report tomorrow that the municipal officers have signed off, and then the ball was in the Osprey's court to finish up what they need to.
Okay. Sounds
Thank you.
good, thank you. Okay. All right, and Tyler, why don't we have your update next, please?
Yeah, so regarding the upcoming town report, I just wanted to share with the board that we are receiving lots of pictures. Art submissions as well. One gentleman brought in a calendar of 12 different pictures, so at our next meeting, I will have everything we've received to date, just so board members can start perusing what I think is going to continue to grow as our collection of art. Ultimately, we'll make a decision at the first meeting in April on what will be the cover and any others that we want to include as inserts along the way. For what that's worth. Regarding assessing, I've heard from Maine Revenue Services, and I'm going to have to do some corrections to a spreadsheet that we maintain about open space. We aren't reimbursed for open space valuations at all, so there's no financial impact. Some Maine revenue forms ask for full values of property, including open space. Others want just the open space value, and in this case, they wanted just the open space, so we will turn that around and get it back to Maine Revenue. Additionally, we're working on completing the turnaround document that is what they call it. It's about sales on properties on the island. Where effectively we go through all of the sales for about a year and a half in the past year. And we mark down what their current values are compared to what the sales price is. We also flag if properties are splits, because we won't have good data for that potentially, or if it's a family member property, for instance, if I were to buy from a relative, I'm probably getting a better deal than what's on the market, so that would be taken off the table for impacting the ratio. So we're working on those. The State of Maine Criminal Justice Academy as well keeps an ongoing list and files of all law enforcement officers in the state of Maine. Our shellfish warden, John Hens, used to have arrest authority. And so John Hens had to meet certain training requirements that the criminal justice side of things would impose. Several years ago, however, John Henson gave up his arrest authority, so he no longer has to meet those requirements, and we finally closed that loop with the state. So just for what that's worth. Briefly on the Arousic grant, Kathy covered the side. Conservation Commission ultimately signed off on the grant for us. The deadline for the grant ended up being last Friday, and we received a request for a letter from the town on the fifth. It had looked like for a little bit the grant might not have been proceeding, and then it did, so kudos to Jess Weller for getting the sign off of her board and then getting that in. And the joint letter, I believe Arousick is still working on getting their portion signed, but that will also be going off to DOT, calling for more community engagement. That's a letter that you all
We all
have.
signed, yeah.
I wanted to flag as well, nomination papers are now available here at the town office. This year, we have 4 positions up for ballot in June. A select board for a 3-year term that is currently held by Kathy Gravino. The school committee has a 3-year term currently held by Lane Pinkham. The cemetery trustees have a 3-year term held by Diane Moore, and that's up. And the Town-Owned Property Management Board has Todd Baraby's 3-year term up this year. So papers are due by April 10th. That is a Friday, so as we get closer, we'll put out some verbiage from the clerk on how to
Right,
connect if it's gonna be that last day. No less than 25 signatures of town residents to qualify, no more than 100. And any questions, definitely call the town clerk. We have been in some conversations about Earth Day, but that was handled with Kathy's presentation. And just touching on get to know your neighbor, the town office is working on going through deeds and some of our other lists that we have to get lists of who the new residents are in town, so they can get invites, but also so rec can make appropriate orders on baskets and other things. So that is what I had to report on the town administrator update, if there were any questions.
no.
Thank you.
We're good, thank you.
They saved them all for you, Mary.
There you go.
Yes.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
all right, thank you for joining us, Mary.
Yeah, no
So
problem.
what you got for us, please?
Just actually, just a few things. I know that Tyler had come to the board a few weeks ago regarding the sketching program for assessing.
Yes,
The cost of that is about $6,900. And I'd like to see if you folks would be willing to take that from, Article 15 in the town meeting warrant, which gives you $25,000. To use, from undesignated fund balance for unanticipated expenses or emergencies. Now, and the reason why I'm making this request is April 1 is gonna be upon us. This is a sketching program that, you know,
Yeah.
we would really like to implement. We're gonna have to implement it slowly,
right,
but if we could get the stuff that's just happened last year in,
right.
you know, and done, it would just be easy. So I'd rather not hold off and budget for the next fiscal year if we could, if, you know, if you folks would allow
I
that.
fully
out of the
agree.
fund. So, so I just wanted to bring that to you. You might even wanna vote for it so that
Yeah.
we can vote on it so that we can
I think
get
it
that
makes
process done. And then foreclosure notices, I think I had mentioned to you that they were mailed. Foreclosure date is on, March 20th. We, mailed out to 6, there are 5 remaining. I'm thinking that I might get 2 of them, but I'm not sure at this point. And then, you're gonna be addressing the request from, Chief Whalen on the medical vaults.
Yeah.
Which we had some, back and forth this
Yeah.
morning about. And then I'm just hopping quickly to budget. A couple of things on budget, but last year we had a fuel escalation clause on the, snowplow contract. It is not in the current contract that we have with them. It was in the extension. So whether it just failed to get copied over or whatever, it doesn't matter, but it's not in the contract. So I removed it from the budget. We had just put a $5,000 placeholder in the budget. Charlie has never requested, Maine Muss has never requested it or used it, but we put it there as protection in case it was needed. My question to you is with everything that's going on in our current
Yeah.
situation, I'm wondering if we should put that back in for emergencies, the $5,000 escalation clause. So I'm not sure how you feel about that. I'm just kind of, thinking that
It's for snow removal.
it's,
if you have
yes,
a hard
yeah,
winter.
it's a fuel escalation clause, which stated that if the cost of the fuel went up over a certain, I don't know that I brought it with me, but, up to a certain, anyway, that we would pay some additional mileage. Or something like that,
Mhm.
so, but I took it out of the budget. It was in the budget when I first presented, when I first went to the FAC. And then I realized it wasn't in the contract, and I thought, well, okay, it's $5,000 and I should so, I just kind of wanted to, I'm feeling a little, I'm going both directions, you know, so again, they've never requested it, it's never been used. And it sweeps to undesignated fund balance, you know, so,
Probably be in there.
In this climate, I think.
I think,
What do you say? Yeah,
yeah, I think it should probably be in there.
I'm comfortable.
okay, then I
returning
will,
as a
I'll put it, and
placeholder.
you guys, I mean, we
But-
can,
I am too.
Are you, okay?
yeah,
Just
we
wanna
can,
make
and we can discuss it more as we get closer to finalizing the budget, if you guys change your mind, or if it, you know, does,
Sure.
but for now, I'll put it back in.
And we'll
Um,
add it to the contract,
I'm sorry,
add it to the budget and the contract.
That would be something we'd have to negotiate with
Yeah.
Maine Moss,
Okay.
for what that's worth.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
It is something we could negotiate with them.
Yeah.
And given the climate right now with the Strait of Hormuz and everything else, it very well could be something that they might have to ask about.
Right, I think at this point it'd be an addendum, you know.
Right.
to-
absolutely, yes,
So, I
Yeah.
think we, on this side of the equation, should be prepared for that, and that's essentially what
Yeah.
we're doing by returning the 5,000 placeholder.
yeah,
Think so.
I think so.
Okay.
Do you need a vote on that?
No, I'm just gonna put it back
So-
in the budget,
Okay.
But I
because you
think we
guys
should
will
on the
take,
other.
you'll vote to pass the budget on or not, you know, so. And like I said, that's what, you know, we can talk about it at that point.
Yeah, and you drop that into the working draft of the budget. that
Absolutely,
you think
yes,
is- Yeah,
yeah, that I present to the FAC
Yeah.
meets tomorrow morning,
Right.
so.
We could, though, take a vote to invoke Article 15 to allow us to
right,
upgrade the Trio software this year. That also means for next year's budget, it'll be a lesser amount,
Right.
and versus the 6,000 and change, it'd be closer to the 3,000 increase to maintain.
Yeah.
Cause we already have existing Trio software, so.
yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where I was at when she started talking about the sketching program. Might as well just do it all. Because that's gonna make it, more efficient for Bill.
Right.
And as we come up on April 1.
Right.
So.
Yeah.
We'll, at the end of this, we'll conduct a vote on reaching into those undesignated funds for this software, for these software costs.
Yeah, it's actually, yes, Article 15, the $25,000 that you
Yeah.
folks have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the last thing was, or the last couple of things, I had sent you a memo at your last meeting regarding, COLA and, increases and stuff like that. I got back your notes on the 70%, 70 cents per mile and the 3% on COLA for salaried employees. But I had also made a couple of requests regarding, hourly.
Yes, the
Hourly, you know, like the harbor master, the shellfish warden, and the animal control officer have all make $22.95. And I'd like to bump that up to 25, rather than using a COLA on that. I think that's, I don't really feel that that's fair for that position, but I think it gets it more in line. I know other towns are usually about 30 or 35.
That's what I was just gonna ask. Do we
So-
have any data about, so when we break it up, we don't, when you say you don't feel good about that cost for the position, are you saying harbor master or shellfish?
They all make
They're
the same.
all about the same.
They all, no, across the board.
Here they
shellfish-
do,
Yes,
but
oh.
elsewhere, have you
right,
gotten?
well, I haven't, because
Okay.
I could only get harbor master, they don't have a shellfish. No, right now, they don't have an animal control, you know,
Right,
so, harbor masters were coming in at 30.
right,
So, you know,
Yeah.
that's just something, you know,
sure.
and then the other one was,
Transfer station.
The
transfer
transportation
station.
and the hourly fire department.
right, right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the 22.95. The fire chief is gonna, I will speak to this at budget time anyway. But he had asked for increases, of 5%, and I struggle with that one. Knowing that we, you know, if I look at my budget, for the school, for the fire department, the wage lines, sorry. The wage line 23-24 was 73.4, 26-27, 140. So it's almost doubled in a 3-year period of time. Last year, we did the final of a 2-step increase with them. They had started out at virtually minimum wage. It was a little
Yeah.
over 14.
Very low.
And then we moved them to 18 and 24, 25, and this year moved them from 18 to 20 and 25, 26. So I feel that we've done, you know, and mind you, that's base rate.
Right.
So they come in and then there's steps for all of their additional trainings. So I just feel that right now we can leave that level for this year. But, you know, again, I'm not sure that just further gets us behind in the end. You know what I mean? So,
Well, I guess that's what
Um,
I'm concerned about with the fire department. I mean, we've brought
Yeah.
them up closer to the industry standard. You know, you could argue that's closer to maybe 21, 22 for a base
Right.
in Maine, when you look at ZipRecruiter and some of
Right.
those things.
right,
So, you know, as we've heard our fire department talk about, you know, losing volunteers and, you know, the future that is ahead of us, which is maybe having to dip more into per diem folks.
right,
I worry about the catch up that we will have to jump
Right.
from, you know, to paying somebody $30 an hour, which they're gonna expect because
Mm-hmm.
they're not volunteer.
right,
And we've been sitting at, you know, 22 as a base.
right.
And maybe that's even just next year. So, you know,
I also feel the same way about the transfer station.
yes,
I think that, if people are to leave their position and we need to hire, then I
Right.
think that we would probably end up needing to pay more,
right.
more consistent to what's around.
Yeah. So, you know, it is about retention, certainly, and then recruiting, should we need to go there, so.
The school is
I agree.
really good about this. They're
Yeah.
always keeping
And
up with what
certainly-
MSU One is doing. and-
Yeah, and the county, I just listened to all of their discussions about the very same thing.
Mhm.
I mean, we're all, as employers, we're all, concerned about retention and recruitment. And so we'll break these down. So yes, Mary, we just,
Mhm.
I think what happened last time is there just wanted to be some more time to digest on the
Absolutely.
hourly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and one of the things, somebody asked the question about, and I don't know, last week, do we have, comparables, comps, for other towns like Harpswell or Bowdoin for what their transfer station attendants make?
I
Do
don't,
we have any?
I don't,
Okay.
I don't. I can get it, but I don't have it at this
Okay.
point.
All right.
That would
Okay,
be great to know.
okay,
That would.
okay.
So when we get to that
Oh, no.
discussion later, we might have something still tabled with direction to get more info.
I think so, although
Yeah.
the message is that we want to be
We wanna
fair
be
and equitable
comparable.
to folks.
Right.
And speaking for myself, that would include, you know, I'm not opposed to doing 3% for the firefighters at at the base rate of 20. But that's just for me.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm very comfortable.
I think
with it.
three COLA
Yes,
is pretty much across the board, which actually covers some of the transfer station employees, but I think we should find out.
yeah.
Does it cover transfer station?
Well,
Or are they-
percentages are a little
Actually
higher
cover-
there.
Cover them, but it works out.
I think the transfer station recommendations that Mary has is more of a 9%.
Some of them it is, yes.
7, 11, and 3.
Right.
Yeah.
So
So you want a 3% on the base firefighter rate?
that's what
Okay.
I'm proposing. I don't know
Okay.
how you two feel. I
Comfortable with
mean,
that.
you're saying a basic firefighter is gonna go out there for $20 an hour.
Right.
And fight a
it's
fire.
asking for 21.
And he's asking for 21 and 30%, 3% on 20 is only 60 cents.
Right.
So,
Right.
I mean,
So do you suck it up, take up the extra 40 and give them the 5?
I mean,
I would personally, I think that,
I'm certainly not opposed to that. Again, we are talking about people who have volunteered and are leaving their lives to go fight a fire or attend to an emergency. And that it's all important work. The transfer station's important work. What y'all do is important work. And I don't wanna, ordinarily I'd say, yeah, we've taken care of them. But what we've done is simply bring them up to where they should have been.
And not even that, honestly.
Right, exactly.
Right.
That's,
You know,
That's what I-
it's not even that.
I mean, you know,
Right, with
it doesn't feel good as an employer to underpay people, bring them up a little bit, and then just say you're good for a couple of years, cause, you know, we finally got you where you should have been a few years ago. That is just from my perspective.
Okay, so then I'll go back in and, well, actually, I think I've got it, I don't know how I put it in budget, but I'll fix it so that it's what Brian has requested. As far as the firefighter training, and ambulance and firefighter call line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and to be clear, that they get paid when they're in training, when
Absolutely.
when they show up for a call, when they
Mhm.
respond to a call.
Right,
Yep.
right.
Okay.
Is that what y'all are saying? Would you like the,
I would
instead of
like
60
that.
cents, you'd like $1, if you're talking from the
Sure.
base rate,
The 5%,
the 5%?
yeah,
Okay,
I think it's fair.
all right.
Okay, and then, the other thing that I had mentioned to you, a couple of the little things that I mentioned, is that, a COLA is wonderful, but we
The
really
merit
need to
raise.
consider merit raises, okay?
We
You
do.
cannot negate experience, training, and longevity,
Yeah, we will be doing, that.
okay?
Yeah.
So, but you don't have it in this budget, so what
That's
I'm
right.
asking you is, should we put a line in the
We should.
budget? And we can assign a number to it,
Yes.
I'm not gonna, that is for merit increases, and it allows you as the Board of Selectmen to say, okay, this year we're gonna review these positions, and next year we're gonna review the transfer station, you know what I mean? Or however we wanna do it.
Yeah.
Currently, it's not in budget.
Right.
So I'm wondering if we want to put in the salaries line, just a line that is to be used for merit increases.
Yes.
If you guys don't get to them, it rolls
No,
again.
we will
you
be
know,
getting to them this
so-
summer. That's our project.
Okay,
We're gonna be evaluating the salaried employees.
okay.
That is not just about, raises, as we've talked in the past, it's about, essentially stay interviews, finding out what's working, what's not working, what we can do,
Absolutely,
what
yes.
they can do.
Mhm.
So all of those things will occur, but I definitely think there should be a percentage, on a placeholder line and,
Okay.
4%,
Percentage? Oh, that's how you.
4%, I mean, what do you
4%
think?
of what?
Well,
Total wages?
of the total,
the
what's
total
what's the of the total personnel line?
I'll check it.
Yeah, we can talk, that's just
Yep,
that's
yep.
just a suggestion, let's look at that number, Mary.
Yep.
We're not gonna make any decisions tonight because
no,
we're
no,
simply
not at all.
just talking.
Right.
And Mary also had the recommendation that we bring together a salary work group. And
Yeah.
I think that needs to accompany this so that we have a system.
Yes, that's what I was talking
Yeah.
about. So Meg McDermott has agreed to participate in that with us. And so we have another HR professional that Katie knows, so I think that we can make that happen, then we'll
Yeah.
loop in Mary on that.
And it's almost like it's an ad hoc committee. They go out, they do their assignment, they bring it back to the board determines whether, how to use that.
Yeah,
And then, every few years, we should be doing that.
well, yes, Yes.
As a way to,
we absolutely.
just
will be doing
again, make sure we get there
Yeah.
eventually.
it. Absolutely,
That's all.
yeah. Um,
Okay.
okay.
And I
great.
think that was it for me.
I think
So-
you also have retirement as a.
Yes, we have to.
We do, but that's
So-
gonna come up in
Okay.
that is definitely going to come up with if you have a group looking at benefits and salaries.
Yeah, so that's why,
We do need to be doing.
Yeah. And that's why it was important to me when, I think last time when I was saying, we have to have people who have this experience so that we're not, some people already do, and so that will be great. We will make use of our community resources in that
Yep.
way.
Mhm.
But all of this stuff needs to happen. It should have happened. It didn't. That's fine. We now have a plan to do it. But we still
Yeah.
have to deal with the harbor master and the shellfish warden and the ACO.
Yeah.
Okay, and what do y'all have the ACO position currently posted at, and the deputy shellfish warden? I forgot to check that.
I believe negotiable.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
And I believe we're paying the city of Bath 35 an hour.
okay,
That's for him to come down here and do all of his,
right,
For
So-
ACO. Or for both,
ACO. I only have the ACO at Bath.
okay.
okay.
Thankfully, we only had to use them a few times, so it's been okay.
So let's just take care of the harbor master, the shellfish, and the deputy,
Mhm.
and the ACO, excuse me. And so is there a motion related to a change in wage for that?
I would vote to increase their wage to $25 an hour.
I second it.
It's been moved and seconded to increase the wages for the harbor master, shellfish warden, and the animal control officers from to $25 an hour. And all those in favor?
And that is unanimous. We didn't vote, but there was consensus about the fire department and other
We'll get
positions.
there.
Okay,
Yes. So, is there a motion related to the fire department, hourly, staff, hourly, employees, volunteers.
I move to increase the hourly rate of fire department staff and volunteers 5%, bringing it up to $21 an hour
As a base rate.
as the base pay work. What's
Is there a second?
I second it.
Okay, all those in favor?
All right,
Thank you.
and
And then we'll just,
get some
again,
data on
just get some
transportation.
data
I will.
on transfer
Yeah, I
station,
sure will.
but, those don't look out of line. I think
No,
it just,
Yeah.
that would be helpful.
Yep.
To have.
Mhm.
Yep.
I can't remember how that came up last time, but sorry, we didn't think to ask you again,
No, it's okay.
Mary.
No, it's fine.
All right, and is that,
I think
I
that's.
think
it.
that's it. Okay,
That's it for me. Thank you.
great.
And we've tackled one of our other items in a little bit, so it's perfect.
Yes.
Did you get a vote on the, taking it from the?
Yeah, no, we didn't. That's right.
We're
I
gonna-
wrote down the Article 15.
Oh, sorry.
50, I put that under new business.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, okay. Thank
Okay.
If we wanna do it
Great.
while it was in Mary's
you. Oh,
report.
that's you.
Let's do it.
I move that we, withdraw, according to, from Article 15 into update software.
Thank you.
I'll second it. All
Um,
those in favor?
And that is unanimous.
Thank you.
And those projected costs, let's see,
69,
about 69,
6,900,
and another
68
100
something.
for the trio, or no? Is that in both, for
That's
both
both.
of them? Okay,
It was, that is for us to get the sketching program and that web host,
Okay.
the hosting environment.
Okay,
Which,
great.
once web hosting set up, Splashtop, which Bill and I both use.
Right,
Won't have to be renewed next year, cause it'll
Right.
be living in the cloud and a little bit more secure, so I
Yes.
think that's a good upgrade.
yeah,
And I'm thankful we're doing it this year, so next year's budget doesn't increase as much.
yeah,
Right, and also this 6,900 bucks is our initial outlay. It'll be an additional $3,400 to our maintenance agreement,
yeah,
so.
Mm.
Yearly.
yeah.
Mhm.
No,
Is
I
that
know.
It's worth it
I know.
if we can bring up a report that shows a picture, a sketch of the, and then the pictures of,
And
it'll be
the,
lovely.
and the future of hiring an assessor.
Bingo.
Absolutely,
It's
absolutely.
critical that we're
Well, and that was one of the
Yeah, up to
things
up
speed.
to snuff.
we
yeah.
were talking about today with the web hosting, Bill and I've got a good workaround.
Yeah,
Mhm.
But the next person's not gonna wanna work around, and so I think
Mhm.
to your point, it's getting us the step in the right direction.
Mhm.
Agreed. Thank you for all of that. I appreciate it.
okay, great. Well, thank you, Mary.
Any other loose ends there?
I don't think so. No. No, you're gonna deal with Brian's request for the vaults,
Yes,
cause I had,
Oh, yeah, that's.
he and I had already discussed that at one point in time. And we had talked about, taking it from the capital equipment reserve fund that we set up for the fire department.
yeah, right.
Again, because of the emergent nature of it.
Yeah.
So,
I
Yeah.
think that's absolutely the
So,
way we need to go, and we'll.
yeah, when you get
Can't
there.
imagine,
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
for
the
sure.
business.
Thank
All
you.
right, so we're on to old business and the EMS billing. So we need to make a decision about that informational meeting.
Mhm.
And so I don't know, I'll turn to you,
Brian-
Katie, as the liaison
I think
and,
having Brian part of the date making would be important.
all right, so Brian, can we call on you? We do have Gert, Walter here too. Can we call on you to give us a sense of, obviously we want to get through the budget, time and, so do you have a sense of when, you'd like to present and have Gert there as well, presenting with you, for this informational meeting?
Sure. Yeah, it'd take me probably, I think, a couple weeks would be pretty reasonable to reach out to different companies, reach out to see who other departments use locally, first of all, and maybe some other Maine or New England type companies if we can kind of keep it local. So I think a couple weeks would be pretty reasonable. That also helps my schedule quite a bit because I'm booking out about 3 weeks for a lot of free time right now. So. Do you guys have a night of the
Well,
week that works
you know-
better or?
Like the second week of April?
And are we thinking, just for planning purposes, are we thinking gymnasium or are we thinking PHS or TBD? And
TBD, I think.
because I think what would make sense, just planning points is if we can pick weeks like we're talking about, then I can talk to those two
Right.
parties about what's available.
Do you have a preference, Brian, whether you're at the Historical Society or at the school gym?
No, not particularly. I think,
We did it, y'all did it before at the Historical Society.
yeah, I mean, and that
Uh,
worked really well. It was,
Yeah.
you know, decent turnout. I think it would probably depend on anticipated turnout, really, in-person turnout,
Yeah.
because that would be we're kind of limited to GHS is all.
Right, that's a good point.
Would it make sense to piggyback onto the department meeting on the 13th?
April 13th?
Yeah. Maybe
Um,
a couple hours prior to, or just so people are, because
Yeah, I mean,
most of the department would want to be there.
yeah, for sure. We do our department meetings at 7 just to allow people who working during the day to, you know, go home, get dinner and be able to get to the meeting and whatnot. So having it earlier, I think may be fine, but
Maybe not.
yeah, I don't know.
And that's a great target to shoot for. I just know with the
Yeah.
different groups, I want to make sure that if that day doesn't work for them, that we can still get something on.
Right.
What
I think
about-
we need a few different
Yeah.
days, right? Yeah.
That's
Is there
conservation.
a better night of the week, Brian, for you, given your?
Not particularly. Depends on the week. My schedule rotates, so
Right.
we're talking the second week in
Yeah.
April or third.
Yeah, like, well, I don't know, we were kind of looking at the 13th, the week of the 13th.
Okay. In that case, the only night I cannot do it 100% is Tuesday. I'm at work. And other than that, we have our department meeting on Monday night, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are all wide open for me.
Okay.
And in terms of the next week, Brian, just as a hypothetical, the week of the 20th, are
Yep.
there any dates that don't work for you at that stage too?
Wednesday the 22nd, I'll be working, and then the 20th on Monday, let's see, April. Actually, we're probably gonna move our EMS training to Tuesday,
We may
so
not look at that week, Brian, because
Yep.
there's already folks that we know are gonna be not available.
okay.
So
It's April vacation.
it's April vacation week.
I'll see what we can
Oh.
get. I'm sure between one or the other, we can get a night.
Okay, so I think to be solidified, but we're looking, now we've got it down to a general week, couple of weeks.
When is
Okay.
good?
Yes, I think he'll work with,
I'm available the 13th,
Okay.
but to the 18th, 17th, and then 18th, I'm going.
Okay.
yeah, so
the
we'll do it
20th would
before
work.
then.
Week will work.
Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah, so, okay, great, so we can concentrate on that week, Brian, and I don't know if there's, I don't have the calendar in front of me. But I was sort of loosely looking at the 15th, but maybe the planning board's already meeting that.
That's a Wednesday.
They are,
Yeah.
So, but perhaps Thursday, that might be solid waste, although solid waste might
That
be
is
the week before it.
That is the third.
Aren't they the second?
Are they the
Thursday?
second or third?
Second Thursday.
They're the second Thursday.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
that's
that,
the third,
that,
16th.
so the 16th would work.
I just, if we're looking at GHS, I know in the past, there have been times we try to book
Right.
it and it just doesn't,
Well, we
and
can,
the
yeah,
school. So I think these are
Yeah.
good targets. I just know sometimes the best pick night by us later turns out
Right.
not to be the night.
yep, so, but I think we're looking at, those couple of weeks in April before school vacation. Cause he leaves the 18th, the 20th is school vacation, so if we could try to do it in that time frame in April.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's a good time frame, and that should give me the time I need to get the data together and the information that I think we're looking for.
Okay,
And I have a town managers meeting on Thursday, and I intend to talk to my colleagues about
This
policy
Thursday?
this coming
Okay.
Thursday about policies they may have internally. And
yeah,
I'll share those in real time, Brian, if I get them.
Sure.
okay. And Brian, and Gert, I was gonna ask you something, but go ahead, you were gonna ask
I
me.
just said, do you think one meeting is gonna be enough if June 7th with the vote had come up before? that?
13th, June 13th is
13th.
town meeting.
Would one meeting would be enough, as that's typically what's done?
I think it will, but I guess we can assess that.
Yeah, I think we would get all of the information consolidated to a place where then it can be disseminated. People can't make it to the meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, I feel like the recordings that we did last time
Right.
were pretty well watched after the fact. So, I mean, can't ask questions live, but I think the information got out to quite a few folks.
Is it worth just a couple points since I presented this in December? There's been a little bit more information. One is that if, as far as, I think, I haven't talked to Brian specifically, but he had mentioned Phippsburg and Georgetown are the only towns that don't do this. And Phippsburg has been doing it actually for 2 or 3 years. I spoke to the fire chief. And the other is I did a quick napkin calculation fairly conservatively, and I think if the town does all of their runs at the basic level, it's 223,000, and that's conservative, so it's probably gonna be higher than that.
So that, you
It's
know,
significant money.
so when it's time, we'll, you know, I would expect that Brian will flesh that out and
Yeah.
that you'll contribute to that as well.
At that meeting, at the public meeting.
At the public meeting, yeah. And this will be the second one because Brian had done one with the fire department. Now it's about 2 falls ago, as I recall, at GHS, that y'all did that.
Yep. Yeah, we did a couple of those just to get
Yeah.
some things out there. So they went pretty well. I was glad they
Yeah.
went off.
Ryan, does 7 seem like the right time of day for you?
Yeah, I feel like evenings, 6 or 7 for most folks is a pretty good time.
Okay.
But I'm open to other times. When I'm at work, I'm there for 24 hours. When I'm off, I'm off. So my time is personally flexible, but I work a weird schedule. So
Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you for indulging us with those answers, guys. All right, so to be later determined, but we're much closer. We know it's gonna be in April, one of those first few weeks. And then Tyler, we've got I don't,
So just on the,
yeah, I'm not aware we have anything
So
but
we don't-
affinity, huh?
we don't have anything but affinity, but we have been turning over stones. Stewart
Yeah.
Electrical reached out yesterday and does want to come and give us a quote.
Okay, this is on the lighting project.
Yeah, Frederick, I've reached out to a few times and they are very busy and have said they will get here, and then there have been at least one no call, no show, which I'm happy things happen, you know, we get back in touch. So the ship has not left port, Kelly Frederick Electric. We would love a third quote, but
Yes.
I do think at a certain point,
Right.
we're gonna have to take what we've got to make decisions from.
Yeah,
But I'm glad Stewart Electric got back to us yesterday,
me
so.
too. Thank you for running that down. Okay.
How do we feel about having, there are 2 graduating Voc Georgetown kids that have been studying electrical.
Oh, that's great.
Peg Rig is one of them. Lulu was
The-
saying that.
Yeah,
The only thing, and I really love the idea of bringing in young folks as they're doing this. I think it could help save us some money on the town side too, which would be great.
Yeah.
The one concern I'd have is if we went with a Stewart or we went with an Affinity, I think their work's gonna have a little bit of a warranty that goes with
Yeah.
it in a way that for the seniors, it may not.
well, Levi,
Okay.
I mean, Levi will give us a warranty, right?
Yeah, you know where he lives.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah. it's
good, all good points, but, I do like that they're in the voice program, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
it's great.
The
Thank you.
school is doing, has gotten involved in a program and they're replacing all their lights apparently.
Who's this? I'm sorry, I didn't
The
hear.
school,
Yes, that's
Yeah.
right. It would be the same program.
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so they started with the Affinity, and because it's the same building, we started talking a couple of meetings ago, like, hey, let's get in on that. And it's all part of a grant project, so
Yes.
it sound, you know, it's,
It was almost $7,000.
Yeah.
The quote.
right, so,
1,066.
so,
Okay.
you know, there's,
That omen.
it's a bit more complicated than just having somebody come out and do the work.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
But I can say, as we're in this room right now, the light over Aria is off and
Yeah.
has stayed off, and these lights are not able to be replaced. So pretty soon, we've got to get this going and get some numbers into budget.
right, I think,
Mhm.
you know, it'd be great if we could make a decision on this, you know, by the end of by end of April.
Oh, one way or the other,
Okay,
And the lights are going off.
period.
all right, great.
Don't worry, every once in a while it comes up and shines.
Oh, we know
And you
Mary's got
feel special.
a good idea, because sometimes it just comes bad.
That's so funny. It
I
just
have
comes
one of
back.
my desk does the same thing.
Oh, that's
Every once in a while,
hilarious.
it Lights up.
That's hilarious. I do love that.
And regarding the Working Waterfront Work Group, Aria, I just wanted to flag that
That's right, I should have given that update.
they're having their community night on March 23rd from 7 to 8 PM at GHS.
That's right. So so that is another kind of informational meeting. Just like Gahi has done, just like the fire department has done, just like the fire department is going to do again. The Working Waterfront, group has been meeting, regularly. Very engaged group. We have a meeting actually on Friday afternoon. at 3:30, so we'll be here in town office doing that, prepping for the March 23rd meeting at GHS. And so that is to talk about, that is for the public to come out and find out what the proposed working waterfront ordinance would be, which is really just an informational, welcome to Georgetown, we are a working waterfront, what does that look like? How does it support the town? How do we support our fishing community? All those things.
What time is it gonna be?
7
o'clock.
I would also note that the Working Waterfront Work Group was given an extension at our last meeting, as
That's
we
right.
remember, so they are the only remaining ordinance, other than the ones Bob will speak to shortly, that could be coming in. And so we're in a really good spot in being able to turn these over to legal counsel, so just for what that's worth.
Yeah, we'll have to turn them all around. Okay,
And on the memorandums of understanding, just to touch base,
Yes.
there are a couple of those that are out there that we wanted to get a full board before we were diving in on. The tri-party one that I flagged for the Recreation, Conservation, and TOP&B, Conservation Commission did get a draft off to TOP&B. I know they're gonna loop in rec.
that's yours.
Typically, the way we've done MOUs, or we've kind of adopted the process, is that the different parties come to an agreement before a select board might sign off on things. So with that one, they're still in conversation. But in regards to the school and town, after we had to dig up the front lawn and dive in on some repairs, it really was determined that we probably need a better document on whose responsibilities are what and outlined. And so we talked about having one select board member designated to work with a school committee member to be supported by staff, Mary or I from the town office.
Yep.
Principal Miller, the superintendent on the school side.
And
to-
probably Elaine, I would
Yes.
imagine, given her interest at the last meeting.
Yes, so,
Yeah,
but for what that's worth, I think tonight we want to designate somebody to help get that conversation started.
all right,
Here and here.
yeah. Well, at least one of us, I
Okay,
think we
one
have
of
to do,
us.
it's
One
gonna
of
be one
us.
of them.
Well,
And one
and
of
we'll,
us.
we'll both
But
pitch in when
yeah.
it's appropriate.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm happy to be part of it, being the school liaison.
That makes sense, yeah,
I would.
and we can certainly
Yeah.
support, help
Yeah.
in any way,
Yeah.
yeah.
And I'm glad to
Yeah.
help at all.
And
Okay.
Kathy certainly has done a fair amount of MOUs in her
Yes.
lifetime, so,
Right,
yeah. So
okay,
we got your back, but you'll be the designated one.
okay.
Okay, great.
All
Thank
right,
you for doing that.
And I can share with you the NMOU that the school has regarding
right.
the use of the forests around the school.
Oh,
which
that would be
I don't
great.
know whether the MOU we're talking about now would encompass that, or it's gonna continue to be a separate.
It's more about,
The ground.
responsibility for the building.
Okay.
The town owns the building, but we share the building. We have a small, we have a smaller part here. And there's some things that are covered separately, like insurance, right? Okay.
Good.
So, all of that.
Yeah.
Great.
but
But
that,
Katie's got the most knowledge about it because she's been on the school board
Right.
before.
but I will say the adventure trail and school committee side of things is part of why we changed the way we were doing it, because we
Yes.
became the go-between, and then oftentimes one side would say, well, let's work a little bit differently here or here, so when we get the parties to come to agreement, then it makes it a smoother process here at the table, so.
Okay.
And we've already tackled setting quota.
Yes, okay. And,
New business.
Did you
Okay,
do
new
the
business.
one?
Just mentioned, we're not designating a person for that, because each of those committees are handling that. We don't need a fourth party.
let's see, our next item is the discussion action. So Tyler, after our last meeting, we asked you to send the citizens petition off to legal counsel. And I understand you've received word back.
Yes, so effectively, we've heard back from Kristen Collins, and she's reviewed the petition, which the clerk certified contains sufficient voter signatures and which requests an increase from 3 to 5 members of the select board. And I would say that at the outset, this legal opinion is going to be available to any member of the public that would like to see it. But our legal counsel has recommended that we reject the petition because state law, from council's opinion, is that elections of the officers can only take place at the annual town meeting unless there was a vacancy created under unexpected circumstances, like we went through recently with Bromwin. And so with the way the petition was written and called specifically for that election to take place in June, or not June, in November, when there is not a
Right,
annual town meeting taking place, it's not something we could punt to be a special town meeting.
and it's
Um,
not, it doesn't comport with the statutory requirements, essentially.
Right, and again, I would defer if anyone wants to get a copy of this to
Yep.
dive into more specifics, we'll make it available, but
Right, ordinarily, we wouldn't, ordinarily, there's confidential information that can come from a town's attorney to its municipal officers. This is not that situation, and so, we thought it best to make it available if people had questions about, the opinion. But she makes a specific,
And just to be a little bit clearer
Sure.
from Kristen, there is no provision of the law allowing for municipal officers to be elected outside of the annual town meeting, except in the cases of an unexpected vacancy. And she does note that while some municipalities do have officer elections in November, this is usually pursuant to a charter that controls over state law. The town of Georgetown doesn't have a charter, so we defer to state law. And I'd use an example of Topsom. They elect their members in November. They actually have their annual town meeting set for November and they tackle their budget at a special. They've got an internal process that's different. So I just want to share if folks look at a nearby town meeting town and say, well, they do it differently.
right,
There's specifics on how Topsom governs itself. And so Kristen goes on to say that because the petition calls for the election of new select board members outside of the next subsequent annual town meeting, it is not valid and should be refused. The select board should do so by a motion such as to reject the submitted citizens petition to increase the select board by 2 members on the basis that it requests the ultra vires action of electing 2 select board members outside of the annual town meeting. For what that's worth. So we want to be abundantly transparent about this, and
Yeah.
that's why we've kind of gone into many details.
right.
I would be happy to make that motion. Okay, so I move that we reject the submitted citizens petition to increase the select board by 2 members on the basis that it requests the ultravirus action of electing the 2 new select board members outside of the annual town meeting.
Is there a second? Okay. And obviously, we're not gonna do anything that's gonna, be inconsistent with our own lawyer's advice. So with that, I will join you. All those in favor?
And that is unanimous. Thank you.
All right, and now we need to turn to some appointments. And as we discussed earlier, the Board of Appeals has, its new chair is Scott Weller. And I don't know if Scott is with us today, but in any event, we will need to promote him from alternate to a full member. And so if we can have a motion to that effect, please.
I move to appoint Scott Weller to the Board of Appeals.
And for a term expiring 2029, is that correct? Okay, great. And is there a second? I can second that.
All right,
All those in favor?
and that is unanimous.
Okay,
And I would note that we now have Scott's
Alternate.
vacant alternate
Yes.
position, which we added to the agenda for Julie. We can
Okay.
do that either at the end of new business or now.
let's do it now.
I move to appoint Julie Pankey as an alternate member of the FOA. BOA.
And I'll second it.
Okay, all those in favor of appointing Julie Pankey as the new alternate to the BOA?
And that is 3-0, and I just note that's also expiring at the same town meeting, so.
Okay, great.
29, yeah.
All right, and we, because Kathy had to leave conservation to come join us, she has an unexpired term, which expires at this town meeting, okay. So we'll need to appoint the current alternate, Susan Shade, who I understand is accepting of that
Yes.
appointment.
We've heard from Jess that Fade is the senior member on the alternates, and so Sue's eager to fill those roles and excited to be reappointed in June as well, but I digress.
Okay, is there a motion to appoint Sue Shade as a full member of the Conservation Commission?
I move to appoint Sue Shade, full member of the Conservation Commission.
Okay, I'll second that. All those in favor?
And that is unanimous.
Okay. And then let's turn to Chief Whalen's request on the vault memo. It sounds a little mysterious, Chief Whalen. Would you like to supplement what, you presented to us in the memo. I do recall the discussion in your, report last week, but if there's anything you'd like to supplement, feel free to do so, please.
Sure. Yeah. It's not super secret. So the Federal Drug Enforcement Agency has come out with updated rules for controlled substances for EMS agencies specifically. And what these new rules are saying is that EMS agencies will be allowed to have their own DEA number, will be independent from the hospitals, whose number we're working underneath currently and have been forever, really. So, with these rule changes, it's going to force us to then purchase and store and track all of our own controlled substances. So to help facilitate this and to meet the very strict rules for storage and whatnot, and to assist with tracking, things like that, I propose that we install a MedVault system into our ambulances and one for the station. This will be an electronic safe with a keypad entry. Every individual who has access to it will have their own unique code. You can link it to software so you can see who's logging in, when they're logging in, that kind of thing. So these systems are widespread throughout the state of Maine. They've been in, I think, almost every ambulance service I've ever worked for. So I'm very familiar with them, and they're user-friendly, they're secure, and they're pretty simple operationally. So unfortunately, they're not super inexpensive like everything else with fire and EMS. Each individual safe for the ambulances is about just over $2,300, and we'll need one for each ambulance and then one for the station. So I'm requesting from the the capital equipment fund up to $12,000 to purchase these and then have them installed into the trucks. The installation doesn't come with a purchase, unfortunately. So I don't know 100% right now if we'll need to hire a professional to install them, like take them over to Greenwoods, for example, or if this may be something we'll be able to do ourselves. They do need to be connected to the truck electrical system in a way that you can be accessed if the truck was off. So there's a whole bunch of different things that we may need to hire someone to do. So I think that should cover it as far as funding. So that's what the deal is with the MedVaults and the request for the funding.
So,
Unless there's questions.
the cost of the vaults is, about 8,400. And so
Yeah, that's total.
You feeling pretty confident that, roughly the 3,000 will cover the installation, Brian, then?
Yeah, I hope so. Kind of banking on it, kind of ballparking about $1,000 per unit to have it installed. The station one we should be able to do ourselves. As far as I understand, it just needs to be behind a locked door and then bolted to either the floor or the wall, kind of thing, so it can't be carried away. So that's pretty simple, straightforward, but the vehicle is a bit more complicated, so we'll have to hire that out. I think that'll be enough. If it's not, then I know we have some GVFD funds that we could probably access in case we go over on that, which again, I hope we don't.
I mean, I'm also comfortable saying up to $14,000, understanding that the goal is 12,000. I just don't want you to have to come back. Because time is of the essence for you to comply with the federal rules. That's my only suggestion. But if you think you just want to ask for the 12,000 to come out of the capital account, that's fine too.
Yeah, I feel like the 12 should cover it. And again, like I said, if we have any ancillary costs that come up in the meantime, or installation is way more than I expected, we can access some GVFD funds for that. I've already talked to our board of directors about that, and they're very comfortable with it. So
perfect. Okay, great. Does anybody have any questions related to this? No? Thank you.
Nope.
Okay.
I just note for newer board members that because this wasn't in budget last year, that's part of the reason that we have to come before the select board to access the reserve funds.
Okay.
If it had been a part of the budget where the item was gonna be coming out of reserve, they would have had a little more leeway without having to come in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. All right, thank you, Chief.
Yep.
Motion.
Okay, so is there a motion?
I'll move that we move we approve the moving of reserve funds up to $12,000 to buy and install three safes that meet the specs that Chief just described.
Okay, and I'll second that. All those in favor?
And that is unanimous.
That's unanimous.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
All right,
And then ordinances.
all right. So we have, moving on to the ordinances, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ordinances coming out of the planning board. Katie, you and Bob and company have been very busy. Thank you, Mr. Corona, for joining us to answer any questions. Go ahead, Tyler.
And I just note, particularly again for newer board members, that tonight when we're dealing with the ordinances, they're now leaving possession of the planning board. Other committees, if it had been them, but it's just the planning board tonight, they're now gonna be in possession of this select board. And ultimately, tonight, we're way ahead of schedule on our timeline. This didn't need to be done till the end of the month, but we can either send an ordinance on directly to the public hearing that'll be scheduled in May. We can send it on to legal counsel for further review, or we can hold it for a future meeting to have more discussion or take time to digest. So just for what that's worth.
Yeah, and typically, when there's not a big change and it's not gonna have an impact in a way that should be legally reviewed, we keep it and we don't send it on to our council, but certainly for the STR, that will go to council, no matter what we do with it initially.
Could it be passed on to the public hearing and then go to legal counsel if someone brought up an issue that we hadn't thought of?
Certainly it could, but that
Yeah.
wouldn't be the preferred way.
Right. But I also, exactly, so once after the public hearing, the board could actually make amendments to an ordinance based on what they hear, or there are many ways to tackle it. But I know that for tonight as well, we have Bob with us to kind of give us some high levels of each of the ordinances, and then kind of go from there.
All right.
Thank you.
So Bob, I almost wonder if we should not start with the big one, the short term, but maybe we should, since it's still early in the night. What's your pleasure?
I would say do that one first.
Okay, go for it. Give us the high level. I mean, we know some of it.
The short-term rental ordinance, as you've already stated, is a brand new ordinance. And I strongly endorse sending it to legal. And you should do that prior to the hearing,
Of course,
because if there are any big holes in this that,
right. It doesn't make sense to have a
it
hearing.
doesn't make sense to have a hearing. If somebody in the ordinances, knows more than we do and stick their hand up and they just blow it out of the water there, it doesn't do us any good.
Right.
So having said that, this is built based on what we learned from the survey.
Nothing we've done, but the breeze is coming in.
Windows open.
Yeah. We're fine.
You okay with it?
I'm fine. No, I was asking Katie if she was cold. Look behind it.
But, so we took what we learned from the survey and discussions that we had and the impetus here was to try and have some rules and regulations on short-term rentals, protect the town, to protect the property owners, both property owners in short-term rentals and property owners' neighbors. And to hopefully make sure that the people that come and visit have a good time, that they're protected. Because you don't want to have something that is a rental that is a hazard. So the safety is very much concerned. Have you all had a chance to look at this?
Yes.
Do you want me to read through it, or do you want to ask questions, or how would you like to go from here?
I think we should, go ahead, Tyler.
One thing that I would just flag for short-term rentals, I think diving into details is great. But I do think that if I was gonna make a recommendation as administrator, that is one that I would hold for a future meeting, so folks just have a little bit more time to dive in, because
Is this in the packet? Did this go in the packet for?
it came out in a separate email, but yes.
Yes, okay, for folks to look at.
And it is online on the website, and I broke out the ordinances
Great,
separate from the packet, so the public could have a chance to dive in.
sure.
And the one thing I would say that the benefit of taking some time is, as we talk with Bob, if questions arise tonight or over the next couple of days, before just sending it to Kristen, does this meet the mustard? If there are questions we have about pieces, Kristen could relay specific to those.
Right, yeah, I don't wanna get into a back and forth piecemeal with the town attorney every time somebody thinks of a question, right?
Right.
Whether it's us or something that comes out of one of these meetings or comes to you at the town office about it. So that makes sense,
And, you know, if you go through it and you have a question after tonight.
Yeah.
And you would like to ask me, I'm more than happy to
Sure.
respond.
yeah,
So then the people who are zooming in could have accessed it on the website at this point?
They could
Today,
have, but I would also say that while folks could have accessed it, it wasn't something that went out in the email. They knew it was here. There's a spot on the website, upcoming select board meetings. It is there. They probably, after we're telling them it's on the website, folks always learn about that page. I imagine we'll get a few more views in the next couple of days.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, because it's a brand new ordinance, I would like to talk about it some more. I'd like to talk about it today, but I think it does make sense to let it marinate a little bit. There's a lot in here. Y'all put a ton of work into this. And so I guess one of the first questions, when people have asked me, oh, have y'all passed that STR yet? And of course I've said no. What's it modeled on? Did you have a few towns that you modeled this on? Did you only take it from the survey?
I looked at several different towns.
Yep.
Towns of approximately our size and our situation where the coastline and so on and so forth. And came up with a very rough first draft. And then with the rest of the board, we sat down and went over it. And Rufus Brown was a big contributor.
Yeah.
And providing some smoothness with the language, trying to have a happy medium between the ordinary citizen that doesn't speak legalese and the legal language that needs to be there. And trying to find a happy medium between those two extremes.
Yeah, and Mike, my understanding from Mike's other participation in our meetings is that he's been there along the way, the CEO, Mike Field.
Yes.
Okay, so for instance, he has a lot of responsibility here and he's okay to accept that.
Yes.
Okay, and is the plan that he would be paid from the fees that are generated through the registry?
We did not get into fees because that's select board
Right.
territory.
But
There is no plan.
okay, there's no plan, okay.
In
So
this anyway,
okay.
but that was my
Is
question
it?
too.
That was your question?
Yes, because certainly in the beginning, if this were to come to pass, we're gonna be using the code enforcement officer a great deal because
Right,
if we have a lot of them right now, he's gonna be going out and visiting a lot of them. So we need to budget in the coming year for
mhm.
that.
He can also.
Well,
have
that's
a
one thing that we
designee.
put in here, that he does not have to inspect every single one of these.
Right.
Mhm.
And this also says the code enforcement officer or his designee.
Okay.
So some of the planning board members have said that they'd be willing to help out should be necessary. And during the initial indoctrination phase of this, where everybody that has a short-term rental now has to get a license. Planning board members would be willing to help out with the administrative burden on the town office. So the town office is not overwhelmed because the town office is also part of it.
Yeah.
Right,
I would think the beginning of this program would be the most complicated
Well,
because,
it would be the
Getting up-
biggest impact all at once.
Yeah.
Because you got X number of people that are currently operating. And you need to get those people registered and licensed and good to go. We say in here that during the transition period, which is gonna be basically from 1 July until the 31st of December. That's the transition period, that they have that 6 months. Basically, to get this paperwork done. So that's in an effort to lessen the load on the owners, lessen the load on code enforcement officer, and lessen the load on the town office. Try to spread it out.
Sure.
And also, if somebody comes up and starts a short-term rental in that time period, they will also have that same 6 months to get going.
Okay.
But after that, you know, if you want to start a short-term rental after 31 December of 2026, then before you can advertise, you've got to have your license.
And one thing I just interject too, when we talk about fees and potentially that going towards compensating Mike, when we moved into hiring Mike, it was in a tri-party agreement with Rousick and Woolwich. And fees were not part of that compensation package. We've actually tried to move away from having a fee be a part of that compensation. We've
What I
done that
thought.
with the clerk. So I would just say if we're looking at an additional workload on Mike, that could be again, when we talk about that merit increase line that Mary's putting in, that would be the more appropriate place than going back in the direction of here's a fee to help compensate.
Yeah, I just was trying to figure out what the plan was, and it sounds like right now it's just that he'll do the work and there's not a compensation necessarily tied to the work he does, so that's helpful to know. Another question. The, can you tell us about the insurance coverage, insurance certificate for $1 million? And do you expect that that's gonna, you're laughing, so.
Well, I'm laughing because there were two items that were very deeply discussed.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
you
one
picked up
of
on that, didn't you?
one of them was the $1 million life insurance policy. And it turns out that is a fairly common thing in most of the ordinances that we looked at from other towns. There is some rationale behind it. Personally, I have a hard time wrapping my head around that one. There were one or two other people that did, and so it was kind of, we put it in there.
Knowing that,
We're open for discussion and we're not hard over one way or the other.
yeah,
There's,
I can see some reaction to that, right?
yeah, there is the opportunity on the registration for, so VRBO and Airbnb, the two most common.
Right.
They provide a $1 million coverage,
Yeah.
and Lisa brought this up, 'cause she was familiar with it. And on the registration form, each of those platforms provide you with a registration number.
Yeah,
So you could, if you check the box saying that you rent only through Airbnb and VRBO, then you're covered.
mhm,
You wouldn't need to have your
Anything.
own,
Okay.
hold your own $1 million insurance policy for your rentals, but that could be, it wasn't in this language because you thought it could be covered on the registration form.
That's correct. Also, if you don't use VRBO or Airbnb, then you have to find it on your own.
right,
And so, okay, the part of the discussion was, well, is the town responsible for forcing you to get an insurance policy to cover yourself? Is that under our purview? There's just a lot of different levels there that,
yeah,
you know, if you're gonna go into business for yourself, you have to learn what you're doing.
right,
I don't think it's the town's responsibility to hold your hand.
right. Yeah, I think there's probably gonna be a lot of people that think that way, but you know, this is the reason that we want folks to have some time with this ordinance, because I I think there'll be a lot of discussion around it.
Mhm.
So I'm glad that, you know, I really appreciate the amount of time the planning board has put into this process.
And so long as we're talking about outstanding items, if you will,
Yes.
there was, some discussion about should we put a moratorium on new applications for people that basically don't live here, and it's basically an investment thing,
Investor owned.
investor owned.
I did not see that in here.
No, it's not in there.
Okay,
It was crossed.
okay, okay.
But it was something that was, again, very controversial. And, you know, Katie was listening to it, I don't, and Kathy was listening to it, so they're. I think it's important that you know about it.
Mm-hmm.
The pros and cons of it, you know, I don't think we have enough information to warrant a moratorium. There are those people that take the opposite viewpoint, well, because you don't know, you should have a moratorium. And the other portion of that is that, just from what I've learned from paying attention to the news and other towns and whatnot, when they do these 6-month moratoriums for some sort of development, keeping it from happening so that they can study it some more.
Mm-hmm.
When it gets close to the end of the 6 months, then they extend it for 6 months, then they extend it for 6 months. And I don't think it's good for the town to be in that kind of a situation. Let's get some data. Let's, you know, get the ordinance, assuming that we want to proceed with it after you've all had a chance to discuss it, and you've had a chance to have the lawyer look it over, that, we can then get some data and get a feeling of, because you don't know what the implications of the moratorium are otherwise. You know, it could be very, very detrimental to somebody or several people's who were planning on, okay, we want to retire to Georgetown. We can do this, we can set it up as a short-term rental. But if you have a 6-month moratorium, that window goes by and they can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of different things to look at as to pros and cons on it.
So would you say, Bob, that this was more of a compromise document of a bunch of different divergent points of view?
Those are the only two that were really compromised. Don't say that compromise meaning that we're doomed to failure, but you know, that we kind of agreed to disagree and continue on.
And just for background as well, this time next year, the planning board will be going through ordinances, and if this one were passed and adopted, obviously there'd be feedback you guys might be able to down the road make changes.
Exactly.
Okay.
The very beginning of this ordinance, when you were deciding how you wanted to approach it.
Yeah.
It was really, so you could have something behind this registration process, because that was the goal. Was to get the information, to try and make a correlation between quality of life here in Georgetown and maybe the Georgetown attainable housing,
That
to see if there's
that
a
and safety.
correlation, and safety was also a part of it. And you feel that the ordinance really does give the registration enforcement.
Yes.
You have to have it.
Did y'all discuss, what enforcement would look like? I mean, I see what's in the, you know, obviously it'd be the CEO, a complaint process, CEO, and then over to us, almost like a regular violation of one of the, one of the codes.
Yeah, that's the way we saw it.
And if the registration doesn't pass from the CEO, then they don't get the certificate
Right,
to be able to advertise
yeah.
the listing or the rental.
If they don't get the certificate, can somebody still have a,
Well,
rental?
that's the thing is, it
No.
depends on self-reporting.
right?
So the good folks will self-report,
Yeah,
the good places will
Yeah.
self-report.
right.
And I feel fairly comfortable that, you know, there's a significant portion of the population in Georgetown that, if they see something, they will report it.
Yes.
You don't say.
I mean, we had the incident, with the one campground that got reported.
Yeah.
And that's a good, couple of years ago. Not the regular campground, not the Casacas Sector Bay, but another smaller one. And that came through us and there was obviously no, ordinance dealing with that, but Mike dealt with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any more questions? Do we want, Bob to go through this any more? How do y'all wanna proceed here?
I just wondered, with the seasonal housing, the summer cottages, some of which have grandfathered systems for waste disposal and so forth.
When you say seasonal housing.
The cottages that close up in October and open up in May,
Mm-hmm.
they are, a lot of them are used as seasonal rentals when the families aren't there. But some of them have grandfathered systems for waste disposal or water that perhaps don't meet the requirements here. So would you accept grandfathered?
I thought I saw something in here too about that.
There is stuff
Definition.
about, yeah, there's stuff about seasonal properties and there's stuff about, how water systems need to meet the
Right.
standard.
That's right.
Yeah, but
And-
in
and-
some cases, they're grandfathered systems, so we have overboard discharges in Five
Right.
Islands and Bay Point, for instance.
If it's a licensed system, yes, that's fine.
Okay.
That's not a problem. What we don't want is people coming in and if all that they have is an outhouse and haven't used it as a short-term rental before this, now they're using it as a short-term rental.
Sure.
Those types of things. You have options. You can have a incinerating composting
Composting
toilet and stuff like that. But even with that, you then have to have a gray water system to take care of the gray water drainage.
Sure.
And I understand what you're saying. But we're also looking out for the rest of the citizens of the island.
Sure. So I think safety is a good reason to do
Yeah.
this.
And, just like we have the requirements for, smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, fire extinguishers, et cetera. It's for the safety of the people and also for the safety of the fire department. So that the people that are there have some chance to protect themselves. So that when the fire department gets there, it's not 10 times worse than it would have been had they had that stuff.
Right.
Okay. All right, do we want to, how do you want to proceed? Do you want to hold this, and continue to review it, come up with our last, set of questions that we may have, gather what we can from anybody that may contact you, and then finish up this new one, for the next meeting, then send it on to the attorney? Or would you like to, dispense with it now?
I think because it's new and there's a lot to it, that giving people a little time to digest and come to the town with questions is probably the right path.
And how are
So-
you?
I agree that we have a lot of questions. I also know that you all have put a lot of time into anticipating all the questions that you can.
Mhm.
Hey, do we have a method so that we can publicize that it's, so that those folks can, ask questions?
Yes, I think, Tyler can put it on Facebook. He can ask IH Friendly to put the
What I-
word out.
what I can
It
do-
will go out on Singing Bridge.
Now that we have ordinances in their current draft, I can put together the town meeting tab where we can update, move them over from this meeting to an easier spot on the website folks can find. And I would just advise that I expect this is the ordinance that you're gonna get stopped at the transfer station and
It's
stop.
already happening.
And while the planning board is really good at anticipating questions, I know that there are still some that you guys are gonna get that are, or you folks are gonna get that are, wow, you know, so.
Yeah.
I think that this one definitely,
This is gonna see a lot of, traction,
Eyes.
have a lot of traction,
Mhm.
so.
I think it would be good to put it up in some place that's available to the public, not just the public that knew about tonight's meeting and now are
Right.
gonna go look
Yes.
for it, but
Right,
just in general.
I agree.
And give it a couple of weeks or something.
Yeah.
And see whether we come up with anything major and then send it to the lawyer.
Yeah.
If you're, you know, because.
Yep.
I think it has addressed everything that it could address, but I think it's an extremely hot topic in Georgetown.
Yeah, and maybe in a couple weeks at our next meeting, we decide it needs to have a little bit more time. There's still a lot of questions coming through.
and we might get 20 people at public comment next time now that they
Right.
know this is out there that have some really important thoughts they want you guys to hear.
Yeah.
So
Okay, that sounds, I'm comfortable with that. So we'll table this until our next meeting,
revisit.
get the word out, revisit it then.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thank you again.
Sure.
All right, so then, I will pull up, that's our STR one, and.
Can I
Yeah, go
ask a
ahead.
question?
Yes,
If
Kathy.
we get comments, are we gonna send it back to the planning committee with those comments?
No,
Planning
I think
board?
it's left for them and come to
Okay.
us. And so we will try to answer those questions, although we will probably ask Bob to return. Cause we very well may not have at least all the answers. Look, Katie's been there for a lot of the process, so we'll have a chance to spend some more time with Bob at later meetings and, answer those questions, and then it'll go on.
So questions should be directed to,
Tyler, I think, right?
Reach out to me if you guys get them directly, you know,
Yeah.
we can share them so everyone gets them. I would say that while the goal is not to send things back to the planning board because it's in this possession, let's say over the next month, we realize this is not ready for prime time,
Oh,
not saying
sure.
that's the case.
Sure, sure.
It always could be sent back. A few years ago, there was a
The
solid waste ordinance that went back and
Yeah, I
we
remember
still
that.
haven't seen the final on that yet,
Right.
so.
That's right. Yeah, that's one that started the committee, went to council, got booted back, went back to the committee, and you're right, hasn't come out. Yeah, so
There are lots of options,
there's
but
lots of options. For sure. Okay, great. So then. I have the building demo one. Is that the one, the next one you? Okay, great. And it looks like the changes on that are on pages 1, 3, 4, 5, 8, and 11 through 13. So you wanna run us through the
Sure.
important changes, please, Bob?
On page one, under paragraph 3A, we added the term secondary dwelling unit. And most of this stuff was precluded by, 2003 and the follow-on legislation that came from the legislature trying to, fill all the cracks and holes that were left by 2003.
Yeah,
And they're still doing that today.
okay,
Enough of that.
okay. All right,
On page 3, under paragraph 8, permit duration, at the very end of subparagraph A, there's an extraneous and in there.
yep,
That was tried to be deleted last time we did a revision to this ordinance and it got missed. It got published with the and crossed out. So this is another attempt.
and it looks like page 5,
Page 4.
or page 4, thank you.
This is paragraph 9, requirements, subparagraph A. There are several things that were crossed out and added in, so I'll just read the paragraph as it will read in the final version. An application to add a SDU or an ADU or a tiny home to an already developed lot or multiple dwellings to an undeveloped lot must provide verification that each added unit has access to potable water and an adequate septic system.
And can you tell us why y'all went in that direction and deleted the following 3 paragraphs?
Because when you got into it, it was very, very difficult, if not impossible, to meet the requirements of what had initially been put in there. It would be very, very costly to anybody. And the verbiage that came out in subsequent legislation was basically what we put in here, that if you, as the property owner, are willing to say and sign a document, if you will, that we have good septic and we have potable water, that would be acceptable.
Okay, great.
Subparagraph B, structure setback requirements. All newly constructed, placed, relocated, or expanded principal structures, SDUs, ADUs, tiny homes, or accessory structures shall meet the following minimum setback requirements. And there were a lot of concerns in the legislation that came out where they thought that some towns might use setback requirements to slow down or prohibit SDUs, ADUs, and tiny homes. We have never done that. This language was put in there to make it crystal clear.
Right. Okay, that's helpful to know.
We have no, that's one of, we don't really have any zones in town other than a shoreline zone.
Yeah, okay.
So a lot of the things that they put in the legislation were specific to larger cities and towns that have different requirements. They have zoning, commercial zones, residential zones, and so on and so forth. Well, you know, most of what they put in was NA'd us because we don't have those zones.
Right.
So this is just that kind of thing. Accessory dwelling units. 1 ADU shall be permitted per parcel that has an existing single family or 2-family dwelling unit and may be located within the principal structure, attached to an existing structure, or an additional detached dwelling unit. And that covers all of the
Right.
cases in the legislation that they presented.
Yep. And it looks like y'all changed the date from 90 to 30 in the next paragraph.
Correct. Well, that was when we said 90, we didn't have a short-term rental definition.
Right.
And when we started out discussing it, we had the 90 days, and then we went down to the 30, which was the more common number that was used.
I missed the meeting where you noticed this, and you're sticking with the 850 square feet.
Yes. And we deleted the lot on which an ADU is to be located must comply with state minimum lot standard, lot size law, because we have the minimum lot size ordinance. So there's no need to duplicate it here.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Next is subparagraph D, maximum height limit for structures. We have a 35-foot limit. In affordable housing developments, the state put in an exclusion to that. You may exceed the 35-foot height restriction by no more than 14 feet except in a shoreline zone. Subject to review by municipal fire chief or designee, and no exemption is allowed in a shoreline zone. We are going to change the order of that and say an affordable housing development may exceed the 35-foot height restriction by no more than 14 feet except in a shoreline zone. No exemption is allowed in the shoreline zone and subject to review by municipal fire chief or designee. And that fire chief or designee may be going away depending upon some pending legislation that's coming.
Okay, so y'all will keep an eye out on that?
Yeah.
Okay. And moving ahead, I think the next page is 8. The next change.
Yeah.
The second, the SDU,
Yeah, secondary dwelling units. This was something that was added by the legislation. We didn't have that before.
right?
So that's why this is there. It's a secondary dwelling unit, it's something that falls between an ADU and a primary structure. So that you can have a second structure that's bigger than 850 square feet and have it there legally.
Yeah.
It's permitted as allowed by law. In the designated growth area, the lot on which the SDU is to be located may comply with the state minimum lot size law. And they have several different provisions there. Again, some of which are not firmly settled yet. We've got till 2027 to allow the state to decide what they're really doing. An SDU shall meet all lot coverage area and setback requirements, and the statement that they're not allowed to be used as SDUs, as short-term rentals. Because the intention is that we want to have housing.
Right. All right, and then we move on to page 11 of this ordinance.
We modified the definition of accessory dwelling unit based on input again from the state legislation to include single multifamily dwelling. Or a single multifamily dwelling. So it reads from a single family dwelling or a multi-family dwelling unit located in the same parcel of land. Under accessory structure, we added dormitories and deleted non-commercial on workshops,
Mhm.
just listed as workshops.
Yep. Makes sense.
On page 12. Commercial use, we added the word "the" on the next to the last line on that paragraph. So exclusive of the rental of residential buildings and or dwelling units. We added a definition for dormitory, a structure used as living quarters without kitchen facilities for students, faculty and or staff as an accessory use to an educational institution. Dormitories are not considered dwelling units for the purpose of this ordinance.
Okay.
On page 13, principal structure. The definition that was there, everybody agreed was. What are they saying? The legislation came up with a more clear definition, which we adopted. The first building or structure constructed on a lot in which the main and primary use of the premise is conducted. No lot shall contain more than one principal structure. And that's how you get into the secondary.
Secondary, right, makes sense.
That's followed by a secondary dwelling unit, a dwelling unit other than the principal structure or an ADU or a tiny home.
Yep. Okay,
And that's it for building and demolition.
yeah, that seems pretty straightforward to me. Do we have any questions? Kathy or,
No, I think that's clear.
okay,
Okay, the next one is minimum lot size ordinance.
well, should we make a decision on this one?
We,
Is that what you want to do?
I was gonna say, why don't we, as we go through, decide
Yeah.
hearing, legal or
Yeah.
hold?
Exactly,
My recommendation would be legal.
yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be, I mean, we just don't want any surprises, so, yeah,
Yeah.
just getting them through.
I can move that we move, that one on to legal.
Okay, I'll second that. All those in favor of sending the building demolition ordinance over to legal? And it looks like it's
And
unanimous.
I'll get those to Kristen.
Yeah.
so.
Okay, thank you.
Minimum
Yes.
lot size.
Okay,
We have one addition here. And that's under paragraph 3 specifications, subparagraph 3.1. Minimum lot size, all lots created after the effective date of this ordinance shall have a minimum area of 2 acres exclusive of wetlands in every instance.
There we go.
Each lot shall be laid out so that 150-foot square can fit within the lot lines. All of that was. It currently exists.
Yeah,
We added the sentence that says, if the lot abuts a lake, stream, river, or tidal area, it shall have a minimum frontage of 100 feet on said body of water.
and the reason for adding that, please.
And that was added because of
Right.
legislation. That's the only change that we've done on
Yeah.
that.
Yep. So, that seems like it's, I mean, it seems so straightforward, but we ought to send it to legal anyway.
I move that we, move the minimum lot size ordinance draft to legal.
I'll second that. All those in favor?
And that is unanimous.
Right. Thank you, Bob. And solar and subdivision, right?
Yep.
Shoreline zoning.
Shoreland
I'm
zone. Yeah,
sorry.
we got three of
Shoreline
them.
zoning,
Okay.
there are two changes. First one is on page 6. It's in the second paragraph. This was to, we had two sections here, both under non-conformance. One was for if you have damage or, you decide to demolish, or something else happens by more than 50% of the market value, you can get a permit to replace it within 18 months. And this is for non-conforming structures. The other classes, if you have 50% or less of the market value. And for some reason, we had that as 1 year as opposed to 18 months. And in order to make them coincide, we changed that to 18 months so that both the 50% or more and the 50% or less are 18 months.
Okay,
And then the other change on that is on page 34, definition of grandfathering. And again, there was a conflict between the building demolition permit ordinance and the shoreline zoning ordinance. And we elected to go with the building demolition permit ordinance, which was 1 year after the structure ceased to exist. That's cool. The grandfathering would expire 1 year after the structure use cease to exist or function as originally intended or is abandoned. So that way they coincide.
okay. Straightforward. Any questions on
Nope.
the shoreline zoning? Okay. Do we have a motion about next step here?
I'll move that we, transfer the shoreline zoning ordinance draft to our council.
Okay, and I'll second, the forwarding on to town council. All those in favor?
And that is unanimous.
Unanimous? All right. Moving right along.
Okay, next is solar. On page 4. For firefighter access on the roof mounted system. There was some confusion on this because we tried to simplify the verbiage and it was being interpreted incorrectly. So we just acquiesced and said, we'll use the language that's in the statutes. At a minimum, 2 36-inch wide or wider access pathways from the lowest roof edge to the ridge must be provided on separate planes of the roof. There must be an access pathway in close proximity to the roof plane containing solar panels. The pathway must be on the same roof plane as the panels on an adjacent roof plane or straddling the same and an adjacent roof plane. So that says that there still has to be 2 pathways,
Right.
but they don't both have to be on the plane where the solar panel is. They could be on the backside,
Okay,
or it could be on an adjacent plane.
okay.
In subparagraph D, for some reason we had photovoltaic PV in there instead of solar panels, which we use throughout the ordinance everywhere else, so we changed it from PV to solar panels. And on subparagraph 5, a detached, not uninhabitable, single-story structure, including but not limited to carports, garages, solar trellises, sheds, and similar structures shall not be required to provide roof access. Because if it's a single-story structure and it's an accessory structure where there's no human
Right.
habitation.
Right,
You wouldn't be going up on that roof.
yeah,
We put it out from the ground.
right, that makes sense. Okay,
You know, on some of these, it may not be necessary to send them to the
right,
lawyer when they're straightforward and simple and don't really involve any,
right,
legal changes, you know, as far as, legislation,
right,
just, you know.
Changes
a
in the
thought.
like this one.
So you're thinking that one might be able to go just to the hearing?
Well, I think perhaps the one before, good.
The only hesitation I'd have on shoreline zoning is that can sometimes get us in abatements many years later.
Up to you guys, I'm just looking at the budget,
Yeah. I know.
because I wear two hats.
I do think solar probably could go straight
Yeah,
up.
I think solar does not need to go to legal counsel. But if you're concerned about abatements, I
For
get it.
shoreland I was,
Yeah.
not for solar.
Right, of course, yes, I get
We
it.
don't even assess a value for solar right now, but that's a
Yeah.
whole other story.
Mhm.
Okay, all right. So are you comfortable, just setting this on to hearing then?
I
I
am,
think so.
Okay. and
Yeah.
Katie looks like she's about to move that.
sure, I move to. Well, let's see, the solar energy ordinance to a hearing,
Yeah, to the public hearing.
to a public hearing.
Yep.
I
okay.
second that.
All right, all those in favor?
And that is unanimous.
Hey, great.
And the last one, Bob.
Okay, the last one
Subdivision.
is subdivision. And it's on page 3. And it's very, very complicated. If you go down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines. It's in the middle of the sentence, it's a parcel of land. And it's, under the current language, it's 3 or more dwelling units, and legislation changed it to 5 or more dwelling units. And the next paragraph down, the same thing repeats itself. And then two lines down, it repeats itself again, changing 3 or more dwelling units to 5 or more dwelling units.
And this was the legislation you said?
That's legislation.
So this could go to a hearing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
When did that legislation take effect, Bob? Is that an immediate or do we have time? It's coming down the pike regardless, so.
that one I thought was this year.
Okay,
There's some that come into effect next year.
okay.
This year.
This year.
This year.
oh,
Terry,
So, I mean, this does have a large impact
Mhm.
as to what constitutes a
Right.
subdivision and what
sure
does
does.
Mhm. But if it's legislation, then we have, it
Right.
is what it is, so.
Right.
I don't think this needs to go to legal,
I don't
if
either,
that's the only
if that's the only change.
revision.
Do you see any reason for it to go to legal, Bob?
No.
Okay,
So are you thinking a motion, Katie, just?
Sure, I will make a motion to move the subdivision ordinance revisions to a hearing, a public hearing.
I'll second that, okay? All those in favor?
And that is unanimous.
All right. Is that it?
So they all have action except for the short-term rental
Right.
ordinance, which we'll revisit at the next meeting and potentially another meeting if we had to.
Yes.
and before the next meeting, we're gonna encourage in some ways. People other than us to also look at it.
Yes, and I'm sure as Singing Bridge will be out, get it out there, we can ask Jim. We can make a little flyer perhaps, and ask Jim Peavy to put it out on H Friendly. And then, of course, it'll be on our website.
Yeah, we'll do is we'll on the town meeting tab, we'll update the proposed ordinances and we'll put where they're at, so.
Yeah.
Everything's transparent. and it's easy to find.
Yeah, okay, sounds great. Bob, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yes. Um,
Public comment.
and, all right, so, great. We are ready now for public comment. Do we have any public comment here? Okay, Kurt,
The question on the, citizens petition was declined.
yes.
That null and void, or can that be altered to adjust the dates? Because it sounds like the timing of the date, was what the issue was. But where does that have to be all done again for next year?
It appears that it needs to be done again, from what she wrote, that it fails to meet the statutory requirements. So you wouldn't be able to just cross something out.
But
So it
it
would need to be-
sounded like the problem was not necessarily with the content, it was with the process that they were using, because they were not doing it in the time manner that was required by the
Statutory,
state.
yeah.
So it wasn't that the she didn't comment on.
She didn't
what-
comment, no, not that I recall saying.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I would say though, when it comes to petition process, you can't, after someone signed, change the top pieces, because any of those voters could say, that's not what I intended, whether it was straight face or not, that effectively would mean a new petition.
So
All right, do we have
I
any
have-
public?
yes, I'd like to say something. As you know, I'm the person that circulated the petition. I'm disappointed to hear that it doesn't meet, well, we don't have a charter, and without having a charter, we don't have a vehicle by which to change the time of an election, as I understand the findings of the attorney. The reason I put November was to try to be cost responsible to the town. I didn't want the town to have a special election in order to elect 2 more select board members, if in fact the town had thought that was a good idea. Therefore, I put in that if the town voted to approve that in June, the special election, well, not a special election, the election of the 2 people would occur in November when we have an election occurring anyway. So therefore, it would be the least cost consequence to the town. I'm disappointed to hear that can't happen because we don't have a charter. What's the time frame to resubmit the petition? Can it still get into a June warrant?
I think you'd have to,
We unfortunately, Lisa, now that we're past the stage for June, because it's within the 90 days of town meeting, the 100 days of town meeting.
Got
For the
it.
warrant, so it would
Got
have
it.
to be for the future one. I just
Got it.
clarify that it's not because of the charter. The way statute writes, outside of a select board member resigning or passing away, or an unexpected vacancy, it
Okay.
would be the next June would be the way it would have to be done.
Understood. Understood. The last thing that I'll say is that clearly there was a large group of people in this town that thought this question was worth bringing to the townspeople for a vote. 81 people signed that petition without hesitation. 2 people said to me they would rather not sign it of the people that I approached. 81 signed it quickly and willingly. Clearly, it's a wish of the town that this be brought to them as a question. It would seem to me, and I may be wrong, and it may require legal questioning, it would seem to me that if the select board wanted to, they could choose to put such a question on the warrant on their own, which would reflect the wishes of the people of this town, if that was a legal process. And that's what I would like to suggest happen going forward, if in fact our attorney says that you have the right to do that as a select board. Thank you.
thank you. Is there any more public comment?
I got a question. Could somebody stand up at town meeting, make a motion?
No,
No,
it would need to be on the warrant. You can't have an on-the-fly change of the form of government.
Could somebody stand up at the hearing? And make a motion to add it to the warrant?
The only folks outside of the petition process that could add something to the warrant would be the select board.
and, I want to be very careful here. These are things that are legal questions, and, even as an attorney, I didn't hazard a guess on the validity of this petition. This is why we have municipal attorneys looking at that. So I want to be careful what we say could or could not happen, although I think you're right about what you've said so far. But this,
just-
in terms of speculation about those, you know, for this town meeting.
And I'd like to request that you ask our legal if it's possible for the select board to put that question on the warrant for this June. Please.
We will discuss that as a board and, yeah, that's all I can say. You're putting us on the spot here, so go ahead, Jess.
I just have a question that I brought it up a little bit last week, our last meeting. Is it possible, like the short-term rentals have been researched and reflected upon, and I feel like it's been a really long process. Could we do something similar for this? I live in Windham, New Hampshire, so I can't vote in Georgetown, but we have 15,000 people in our town and we have 5 select board members. And it just seems like we're so many people, like I need another conservation commission member. I'm just worried about overtaxing our town and our volunteers. So I would love to have more research about this. Like, what are the pros? What are the cons? I don't know. I thought a committee maybe made up of different, like existing committees, something like that might be able to dig in, look at other towns that are doing this. I know there are towns our size. I did a little research that do have 5 members. Is there an opportunity to have an alternate member versus 2 full members, someone that could fill in? I don't know. I just think we should kind of take a deep breath and like do some research here, like we have done with short-term rentals. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I just
We'll
jump,
take that into consideration too.
and I just jump in, Aria, to share and just remind folks, not any specific member of the public. Public comment is an opportunity for the public to relay their views. It's not an opportunity for us really to have a back and forth about questions. If folks want to get an item on the agenda, they can reach out to us here. We can talk about it to make a board level discussion, but I just want to reiterate that I know folks sometimes think public comment's a chance to get questions answered.
Right,
And that's really not the best vehicle, not that we don't want to get folks answers.
yeah, no, you're right. I've been in meetings where they won't answer your questions at public comment. Okay. All right, any more public comment? All right, and we do not have an executive session? Is that correct?
We do not.
Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn at 9:09.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
And that is unanimous.
All right, thank you for joining us. Thank you again, Bob.